is the maiden voyage for a project that is sponsored by Health Services Advisory Committee that for the next year and probably into 2024, we're going to try to do every month or so another program on a different aspect of wellness, but something that affects seniors. And it might be a disease, but it might be something like balance. It might be osteoporosis, but one of the handouts over there has a list of the 10 leading killers of U.S. citizens, and we will be paying close attention to those diseases to try to cover them and make sure you get the information you need. The way we're going to proceed today is that we just turned the program, flipped it. We were going to start with Dr. Granville, and I'm going to introduce everybody now and then not take a break in between our speakers to make those introductions. They will simply come up here when they're ready. So I will start at the beginning, but let me add that we have a co-sponsor besides Health Services Advisory Committee, and that's our lifelong learning, and Laura is back in the back of the room, and she's responsible for a lot of the handouts that you got for photocopying them and getting them out. So thank you, Laura, for your support from Lifelong Learning. Our first guest that we're bringing up to the front, there's no stranger to anybody here. That's Kerry Moon. And Kerry is, as you know, a man of many trades. He's been our unofficial forester, our horticultural expert. He's driving now people here and there, and because of his driving, we need to put him up front. He was going to be at the back. But he's important because he is going to talk to you about what it's like to have a heart attack and survive and figure out how to lead a healthy life and what it takes to do that. And so he's a living example for the rest of us. We can make lifestyle changes if we decide it's important enough. And that's one of our biggest motivations for offering these programs, is to help people decide that it's important enough to make lifestyle changes, which are not always easy to make. Our next speaker is another person that's not a stranger to you, Dr. Lisa Granville. And rather than give all her credentials to you, she is right now the acting chairperson of the Department of Geriatrics at Florida State University College of Medicine. But what I want to say about her is that I have never met anybody more devoted to patient care and helping people live healthier lives than Lisa, Dr. Lisa. And she is a person responsible for bringing Montessori to the Memory Care Center. And any of you who've been hearing about that, it's really helping to change patient care so that it's much more humane and recognizes the autonomy and integrity of people living with dementia, so they don't feel like they're in a prison, but that they are in a life-sharing environment. The next speaker is no stranger again, Don Chenault, who's our now coordinator of our fitness center. And I have to say that, Don, you won't meet anybody more enthusiastic about helping you find the exercise routines that your body needs and helping you stay with it. And the rest of his staff is equally supportive. So we're very grateful for his being here. And finally, Peggy Shea is a retired professor of nutrition and food sciences at Florida State University. And she's a person of enormous faith and also somebody who understands the importance of nutrition and is fully informed and able to share that with us. So I'm going to turn this program over to Kerry, and we are going to have a live interview up here. So welcome.
Kerry. Nice to be here.
Yeah. I have been wanting to do an interview with Kerry ever since we talked a couple years ago after he had his heart attack, because I felt that he had a story to tell. So here we are, and I'm ready to hear more from you, and so are we. Tell us about your life before you had the heart attack.
It was wild. It was great. I don't think that's what you meant, though.
Yeah, that's right.
No, I was just your average person working a day job. I was always maintaining pretty good health and work out rode my bike for years until I started working here, and obviously I was outside, so I was still physically pretty active. Over a period of time, I gained a bunch of weight, about 40 or 50 pounds from the time I started working here. I wasn't riding my bike 4 days a week like I used to. And you don't really notice it, it just kind of shows up one day a little bit at a time. And so one day, my brother started losing weight. And you can't let your brother out, do you, right? We always called him Lardo, his nickname. And he'd lose 10 pounds, we'd call him Lard. Well, he had changed the diet completely because he'd been a jogger and had a high-carb diet at the time. Changed over to more of a keto diet and lost a lot of weight to the point we called him L.A. Dave. I mean, he really looked good. And so I started changing some eating habits. And, of course, Thanksgiving and Christmas time, everything comes up, and you see all the cakes and candies and all this. And I just, for lack of a better word, it started to repulse me to see it. And so I started changing that. Next question, please.
So despite the fact that you did make some changes in your lifestyle, a heart attack caught up with you.
Yes, it's family genetics. There's a whole lot of it. Father, uncles, aunts, it's in the family. The way I see it is you're going to get something in life. You don't know what it's going to be. Well, mine happened to be a heart issue.
So what changes did you have to make in your lifestyle after the heart attack?
Did I have to make or did I make?
Or that you did make?
Well, obviously, it's excuse me, that's the call.
He's our driver. He can't stop getting calls.
Can we resume this later?
Yeah. No. You're on.
Thank you. Told you
Go ahead.
Okay. Just a couple minutes. Let me skip to one of the other questions. How I knew I was having an issue. I was working out here, and I had an uncle who died at the age of 48 digging up a stump. Just fell over dead. And so I've always remembered that. And I was out digging up a stump with one of the other co-workers, and I had the weight of the world hit the chest and down the arm, the classic symptom they tell you, And I was aware of the symptoms because, it's a family thing. I've done some research, knew what to look for. I knew I'd been slowing down before that happened. I'm 287 years old now. And so at the same time, I'm thinking, well, I'm not supposed to slow down this fast. I don't think. And I got to be lethargic, didn't really want to do some things I always loved doing. And then that happened within a month or so, and it was time to call the doctor.
So we want to know what kinds of changes you made after the heart attack.
Well, I don't eat as much, primarily. Changed the foods. Sour cream and potato chips are no longer my main food group.
What else did you have to give up?
I gave up by Sunday night marbled steak. Now I eat it only once a month instead of 4 times a month. Just light breakfast. I gave up whole grains is how I lost a lot of poundage. The wheat, I think you don't realize that you're full and you keep eating. So a lot of the breads. Don't eat pizza 4 nights a week anymore. I still enjoy cold beer. Some things in life you got to still do.
So what was your motivation? What helped you to do all that?
You just got to have some want to, and you're sitting there in the hospital and you're not really cognizant of a whole lot. But I'll tell you something else that helped was I got over 140 cards from you people.
You had a lot of friends rooting for you.
I had a lot of people praying for me, and God made himself known. I told people I was always a believer. I'm a knower now. And I don't know why I came back. Sometimes a kid said, y'all can't be allowed for me to come back to this. But it's the way it is.
If you had one thing you wanted to tell people here, what would you tell them?
If I can do it, you can do it.
That's a good note.
And it takes want to.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you
Gotta
so
run.
much, Carrie. Go get your passenger. Okay.
Can you hear me okay? All right. So I am Dr. Lisa Granville. Many of you know me, and those I don't know yet, I look forward to getting to know you in the future. So what we're going to do is talk a little bit about taking care of your heart, and I'm just going to give a brief background about heart conditions as well as brain conditions, since they go hand in hand. And then we'll turn it over to Dawn, who's going to share with you one of the most important changes you can make for yourself, which is to improve your level of physical activity. And then as time allows, we may be able to hear from Peggy about some issues related to your diet, another very important part. So let me see if I can get the slides to work. And there you go. So raise your hand if you're concerned that you or a loved one could have a heart attack. Yeah. How about raising your hand if you'd like to know some warning signs and risk factors for that heart attack or stroke? Okay. And if you would like to know how to keep your heart healthy? Yes. So pretty much everybody would like it all, it looks like. So you want the whole menu, not just a piece of it. So, okay, so what we're going to do, as I mentioned, is we'll talk about understanding heart health, increasing physical activity. You've already heard from Carrie, our survivor, who looks like a really good example of someone who looks fit and well. So not only did he come through and make it, but he's making it and living a good life, and that's important. We can all have that potentially second chance. Ideally, you won't test it by having the heart attack to begin with. You will take heed now and maybe make some adjustments, okay? And then an important part of any time that you're learning new information or thinking about things is really to make a commitment to use something that you've learned. If you don't apply it, put it into action, it's not going to accomplish anything. So we're going to encourage you to make what we call an action plan, and there were handouts over there. I do have 2 medical students with me today. Audra and Jim, you want to raise your hands? So they're my volunteers. They're drafted. Maybe you should stand up. Not everybody saw where you were. When we get to the action planning, you can raise your hand, and if you didn't get one, we'll be happy to mobilize them and make sure you have it, okay? All right, so some key facts, some reasons that this should grab your attention. Heart disease is the leading cause of death for both men and women. And it's no surprise that here in February with Valentine's Day, they've declared it sort of Heart Health Month. Everybody wants to think about hearts and good health during this month of February. Coronary artery disease or blocked arteries are the most common form of heart disease. And importantly, 80% of coronary artery deaths are caused by preventable factors. And that's what we're going to share. So you can have an influence on your outcome. So what is a heart attack? A heart attack is when blood flow to certain parts of the heart is cut off. It's not happening because of a blockage. And what blocks the blood flow is that an artery has plaque in it, okay? What is a stroke or brain attack? Basically the same as a heart attack. There's blocked blood flow, but this time it's happening in a vessel in the brain instead of the heart. And in the brain, there's 2 ways that it happens. One is the blocked artery, but then sometimes you can have a burst blood vessel. And it's important that we tell them apart because we do have something called clot busters. We have these thrombolytic therapies that if you get to medical care in time, they can dissolve the clot and make the blood flow return to either your heart or your brain, but time is of the essence. But if you're having a bleed in your brain, we do not want to use a blood thinner and make the bleed even bigger. So they will have to do, sorry about that, they will do an image, they will make sure that they know what's causing that problem and only giving the blood thinners to the right people. So what blocks the flow? It's called plaque, and what makes up plaque is a combination of substances like cholesterol, fat, some calcium, and other things. And these are many things that you can have control over. So we'll talk about the warning signs of that heart attack and stroke, and there was a handout over there as well. on the back side of the risk factors, where you can sort of check your own personal history of risk factors, there are warning signs of heart attack and stroke. What many of my patients and people I talk to in the community do is they'll put those warning signs either on their refrigerator, tape them to the bathroom mirror, maybe put them inside the medicine cabinet, and if anytime somebody's feeling a little funny, they'll go check and say, hey, am I having any of those signs? Because if they are, they know that the thing to do is to call 911 because time matters. Please do not go take a nap and see if you feel better when you wake up. You might be surprised or you might not. That is one of the most common things that patients tell me they did. And it concerns me when they start with, I thought I was having a heart attack, so I took a nap. And I say, what's your goal if you have a heart attack? Are you hoping to continue going, or did you want to stay? Because if you want to stay, then we really need to go to the emergency room and get that taken care of properly, okay? So the warning signs of a heart attack, you do not have to have all of these. You may only have some of these, and that's one of the challenges. Sometimes it's not classic, as Carrie mentioned. Sometimes it's more subtle. But you might have a discomfort in your chest, and it actually could be on the left side where your heart is, but sometimes it's on the right. Sometimes it's not the chest, it's lower in the belly, or it's higher in the jaw, the neck, or even the arm, okay? You may feel lightheaded. You may have some nausea and vomiting. You might get cold and sweaty, and you'll probably feel very tired. So any of those symptoms can happen, and you can imagine as you look at this, doesn't COVID have some of those same symptoms? Lightheadedness, nausea, feeling tired. A lot of different things can cause the same symptoms. But when you know you don't feel right, you need to do something about it, right? The warning signs of stroke we recognize as FAST, and FAST stands for facial droop. So you can either smile at someone that's with you or smile in the mirror and look. If one side is droopy compared to the other, that's a sign. Your arm could have weakness, but so could a leg. But to check your arms, you can put them both out, one with your palms up to the ceiling. And if one isn't able to stay up, that's a weakness, and that could be a sign as well. Your speech might not work, so they say repeat a simple sentence like the sky is blue, and that might, if somebody else is listening to you, they might realize that you're stuttering the words, they're not quite coming through clearly, or they might not actually be making much sense at all. You think that's what you're saying, and it's not. So it helps to have someone with you to be a part of that assessment. And then the T is for time to call 911. So as I've mentioned, quick action is important. If you think you're having a heart attack, call for help and go by ambulance or transport. Do not try to drive yourself. If you're the loved one of someone else, do not try to drive them. The advantage of the ambulance, the paramedics, they have the equipment in the vessel, right? It's right there with them. They will start therapy immediately en route. So don't delay that. And of course, if you were the one driving and you finish having a heart attack, you're now going to have a car wreck on top of that. And if I were driving and my loved one had a heart attack, I'm going to be very distracted and probably end up having a wreck. So just play it safe, call in the experts, if you will, and get to where you need to go. The risk factors, whoops, where did it go? Okay. Risk factors of heart attack, the more you have, the higher your chance. It's not a guarantee, it just means that there are more and more reasons accumulating, and you'll want to try to intervene where you can. So on the left side is a list of things that you really can't do anything about, right? Every year, if we're lucky, we get another birthday, we get a little older. Good for us. If you're born a man, you're a man, right? And I know you could talk about changing your gender and other things, but it doesn't always work in the way you would want, and it's not a good enough excuse to transition to think you're saving your heart. Your family history is important, but family history is based on whether something happened early enough. What I mean by that is, in a male relative, there would need to be a cardiac event before age 55. Carrie told us a 48-year-old male relative in his family had had an event. That's a positive family history. If your loved one was in their 60s, 70s, or 80s, that's not a family history in a genetic sense. You're not at greater risk because of the genes. It just means that someone in your family has had one, okay? And for a woman, it's 65. The estrogen in our systems helps protect us a little longer, so we get a lag between when men are at risk and women. Sometimes we're learning more and more about where you live, the community you're part of makes a big difference. Your zip code does not put you at risk of any of these issues. The adjustable factors are the ones on the right. If you have high blood pressure, high cholesterol, diabetes or high blood sugar, all of those medical conditions have relevance, which is why your doctor will be giving you medicine or other strategies to reduce their impact. If you're a smoker, please stop. And if you need help, there are plenty of free resources that we can guide you to so that you can have help with the stopping. There's chewing gum, patches, a variety of things that can really help ease off the cravings so that you'll be able to be successful. If you have excess weight, like Carrie mentioned, it's important to get rid of it. And 2 important strategies for reducing your weight would be your diet and your physical activity. So those can be important things that you control. The strongest predictor of your brain health is high blood pressure, okay? So you want to be aware of that, and you want to think about that everything that's good for your heart is good for your brain, that high blood pressure affects both, so does those other conditions that I mentioned, the cholesterol, blood sugar, etc. A brief word about a healthy diet. One example of a healthy diet is how much food is on the plate and what the composition of that food is. So the current recommendation is that half of your plate should be filled with non-starchy vegetables. So that's your greens, your carrots, your fun stuff, if you will. Only a quarter with a lean protein like your fish or chicken, and then a quarter could be whole grains. And as Carrie pointed out, some of us are having more than our share of intake of some of those things. Plus, you need to stay well hydrated. Many of us don't realize as we get older, we're not as thirsty. We don't have that drive to drink, so we may not be drinking enough. If you don't have enough fluid in your body, your blood will get sticky. It will create the possibility of a blood clot. So drinking enough water every day is good for your health in a variety of ways, okay? On the handout, there is also these tips, which we've talked about. So these are the risk factors. These are the things that you can do something about. And I'm going to turn it over to Don now, who's going to talk to you about physical activity.
Got my water. All right. Hello, everybody. I think I've had the pleasure of meeting a lot of y'all coming down to the fitness center, whether it's through coming to our classes or doing any of the personal training. And so what I wanted to do today was really just emphasize some actions that you can take and what we can try to do here for you to help you easily get these things done. So we're going to kind of go over first some things that you can do for your aerobic fitness, so some cardiovascular things. We're also going to talk about doing some strength training to work your muscles, and then how you can kind of put a plan together that works for you so that you can get both ends of it, because we do want to be able to make sure that we are getting a little bit of cardio and a little bit of strength training, and then not just isolating one, because we're going to get the most benefit from putting those two things together. So to begin, the first thing is lowering your barrier of entry. So think about things that you enjoy to do. If your goal is to start getting active and you're like, all right, you're not really maybe doing anything right now. If you're right off the bat saying, all right, I'm not doing anything right now, I'm gonna start working out 7 days a week, I'm gonna ride my bike, I'm gonna walk here, I'm gonna go to class, you're kind of setting yourself up for failure. And what you wanna think about is just being consistent. So what do you like to do? And what are you actually going to do? Some of us, it may be going to the pool. I know some of you love going to the pool and doing that. Some of us may like to walk around campus. Some of us like doing the new step. We have our stationary indoor bikes. Some of you may have your own bikes that you ride outside. So think about something that you like to do, because I understand not everybody likes working out. And you should probably, at this point in your life, you probably know if you enjoy working out or not, and that's fine. Some of us really, really love it, and you love going to the gym and getting your workout in, and some of you just don't. And that's fine, but we still want to be able to do these things and do them in just a small enough amount so that we can really get the benefit of it. So with your cardiovascular training, they normally tell you to shoot for about 150 minutes of moderate activity a week. So if you were to work out 5 times a week, that'd be about 30 minutes of cardio. And doing one 30-minute session, you get the same benefit from doing 3 10-minute sessions broken up throughout the day. It's the same exact benefit. So you could plan to, do 10 minutes in the morning, 10 in the afternoon, and then 10 in the evening. So you can break it up and still get those benefits, but also the intensity that you do it at matters as well. So you normally go at a moderate intensity. So when you're doing a moderate intensity, it's going to be something where, it's going to be getting your heart rate up, your breathing. It may be difficult for you to just continuously talk and hold a conversation, but we shouldn't be gasping for air. But what's good about this is that the higher the intensity you're able to work out at, the less time you have to do it. So if you're able to do 150 minutes of moderate activity, you'll get the same benefit or even a greater benefit from doing 75 minutes of vigorous intensity. And that's going to vary for everybody depending where you're starting at. So the more intense that we go, the more we get our heart rate up and challenge it, the less time that we have to commit to it, again, and which is good for those of us who may not be huge fans of working out. Be like, I don't want to go work out for an hour or do this or that. So if you just go for a shorter amount of time, and it's also, again, finding something that works for you and feels good, because if we're doing something that's maybe painful for us or it's not as comfortable, we're not going to be able to push ourselves. So whether it's going to be on the bike, the new step, going for a walk, try to think about something that, hey, I can do this and I can push myself and go at an intensity where it's not causing any kind of joint pain, but I'm going to get a little bit uncomfortable. My muscles are going to be working. I'm going to be breathing a little bit. So that's a good thing to keep in mind. And brain health, we were talking about your brain health as well. One of the best things that you can do for your brain health is to get your physical health. So if you're just trying to improve your mental ability, whether it's your focus, your cognitive benefits, if we're not doing any physical activity or very minimal, you're not going to see as great of an impact or a gain on your mental health as well. So it's good to do, your reading and your brain exercises and do things like that. But if you want an even greater return on those things that you're doing, try to work in a little bit of cardio, a little bit of strength training, and that's going to improve those things that you're already doing. So moving on to your strength training. So when you're doing your strength training, you get, again, the most benefit from doing it at least twice a week. And again, it's what do you enjoy doing? I know some of us, again, like coming to the classes. A lot of y'all are doing the personal training that we're doing right now because you enjoy that little bit more one-on-one. And some of you just like to come and do your own thing at your own time, at your own pace. And that's okay. So it's, again, lower that barrier of entry. What is something you enjoy doing that you're actually going to do a couple times a week or more? So about 2 to 4 times a week would be ideal. And whatever muscle that we have right now, it's going to be a lot easier to maintain that muscle than it is to build new muscle. We can still, believe it or not, you could still build new muscle and gain strength. but it's a lot easier to maintain what you have, which is an even better opportunity or more inviting way for you to think, hey, as we age, once we get past the age, I think it's age 30, we lose 1 to 2% of our muscle mass every single year if we're not keeping up with it. So whatever you have right now, if you just start doing something a couple times a week to help maintain that, you're going to set yourself up for success down the road. And if we want to build on top of that, coming a little bit more is going to help us do that. But we also want to make sure, especially with our strength training, and some of y'all do the personal training with me specifically and come to my classes, you know that I don't shy away from giving you heavier weights. Depending on, obviously, different injuries and different movements, we'll use different weights and things like that. But a very important part of strength training that we need to understand is that you need to be lifting something that's heavy. And again, heavy is going to be relative to you and what we're doing. That's challenging your muscles to where you can maybe get, so there's a thing called reps in reserve. So that would mean that, all right, if I'm working out, my goal is to do 10 reps of this exercise. And so let's say we grab a weight and we're doing 3 pounds and we do 10 reps. But you really could have done 20 reps, but we just did 10 because we're doing 10. You're not really going to see much benefit from that as opposed to grabbing something a little bit heavier and saying, all right, my goal is to have 2 to 3 reps in reserve. So that means if I try my hardest to get my reps in and I get to 10, I maybe could have done about 2 or 3 more before my muscles fatigue or before my form starts to get so bad that I need to stop. And that's the important part to remember, because I know a lot of us will kind of get into the habit, and again, something is better than nothing, but if we've been grabbing the 1 or 2 pound weights for 5 years now, we may want to bump up to the next one. So, so keep that in mind as we're doing our workouts, that progressive overload is something that you want to focus on and slowly increasing as you go. So again, think about the things that you're going to benefit from it, just having a little bit more independence. When you're going to the gym, especially if we haven't, we're not really people who like thrive and love going to the gym, think about the benefits that you're going to get outside of it. So going to the gym is going to increase your life outside of there. What do you like to do outside of the gym? We want to, and also it's like we want the independence of being able to do as many things as we can with as little help as possible. So if we can stand up on our own, if we could put our shoes and socks on our own, if we can do all those things, reach up in the cabinet, bring something back down, that's what we're working out for. So when you're working out, you're getting better at, okay, we're doing the shoulder press, we're doing a squat, we're doing this, but in the back of your mind, come up with your why, whatever your why is, and that's going to help you kind of get through those motivation. Other days where, we're not maybe as motivated to go to the gym, or like why are we doing this? I don't really like doing this stuff. Think about all the benefit. It could be just so, again, I know we've added a bunch of core and balance classes. Everybody has been really wanting a lot more of that. So the core and the balance stuff, so if we have family members, we have grandchildren and things like that, just being able to walk around a little bit longer with them, being able to play with them, being able to do different things like that, that's going to be the main reason why we do this stuff, to enhance your life, to enhance everything outside of the gym. So just keep that in the back of your mind when you're thinking about, making your plan, and on those days where you don't want to come in, that's the reason. Coming up with that why is going to be your most important thing, and that's going to keep you going. So now, how to get started putting it all together. So we have our cardio, we have our strength training, and so when you come up with a plan, this is just a general example of a plan, and I'll walk you through it. But one thing, making friends who enjoy fitness is a great way to hold yourself accountable. So those of y'all who come to the classes usually know who's going to be in the class, and we usually know when somebody's not there. And people do a great job of calling us and letting us know that they're not going to be there. Or if you have your same group of people and somebody's not there, you're like, hey, where's so-and-so today? And so it becomes kind of that little community and accountability group. So whether it's going to be, coming to the classes and finding new friends in there, finding a friend that likes to do the same thing as you. If you like going to the pool, if you like going on walks, if you know that, hey, So say it's on Monday, 30, 45-minute walk outside with friends, same thing on Saturdays. You can find a group of friends or find just one other person and be like, hey, we're accountability buddies. Twice a week, we're going to go on a walk. So that morning, if you get up, you don't really want to go for your walk, they're going to be calling you, they're going to be texting you, and be like, no, come on, we're going to go, we're going to do this. Same thing with all the other stuff. So again, so say you go on your walk on Monday. On Tuesday, we have our machines and our strength circuits, which you guys, if you haven't, you can come on in, get the orientations. We can show you how to use them if you want to come in and do that. So that's something that you can do on your own time, and it doesn't have to be a big amount of time. And just like the cardio, the strength training can be broken up as well. You know, you can go in the gym and do 30 minutes of strength training, or you can go in and do 10 minutes here, 10 minutes here, 10 minutes later, and you're going to get the same exact benefit. So, and then different things, like we have our new line dancing class that just started. I know that's a really big hit. That's on Wednesdays at 10 with Lisa Jackson. So that one had a great turnout. That one is a really, really good one to go to get your cardio, to get you moving around, work on your balance, and it's a great, mood lifter as well. So when you're working out, doing whether it's your cardio or your strength training, thinking back to our brain health as well, putting yourself in a better mood, getting yourself in a better mood for the day is going to be really imperative. Water aerobics classes, our core and balance. So you can just see by that how you can mix and match however you want. We're trying to give everybody as many options as you can for something that works for you. And what works for you isn't necessarily going to work for somebody else. So don't hesitate if you feel like, hey, I don't really know where to start. I don't know what to do. And especially with the classes, I know a few of us with the classes, and before they had like levels to the classes. Everybody is at a different level and at a different starting point. If you come to my class or anybody's class, everybody, we're going to make accommodations so that you can do it. And you doing it may just be coming and sitting in class and just watching. And that's completely fine. And in your mind, going through the movements, imagining you're doing the shoulder press, imagine that you're doing the squats, or hey, maybe I can do these one or two things, but I can't do the rest of it. And that's completely fine, because think about what you would have been doing instead of that. We wouldn't have been there doing anything. So if you do one thing and you come to class and you sit, that's perfectly fine. So don't feel like anything is going to be too intimidating or anything that you can't do, because we're going to make it accessible and accommodating for everybody, no matter what your level is. And so a few of the things, all the different points that we talked about, all the risk factors. So managing your blood pressure. So with your blood pressure, the way that exercise can help out with that. So regular exercise is going to make you have a stronger heart. As you all know, your heart is a muscle. And just like you can make your biceps bigger and your legs bigger, we can make our heart stronger and work those muscles. So as you make your heart stronger, it's able to pump more blood through your body with each pump, which is going to help lower the stress decrease your arteries, like the stress within your arteries. So that force will go down, and that's going to help decrease your blood pressure. So the stronger your heart gets, the easier it could pump the blood through your body, and that can help lower down your blood pressure. And again, going back to the cardio, doing it vigorously, the more intense we go, the less we have to do. Controlling your cholesterol also, so working out, exercise has been shown, it can raise your HDL, your good cholesterol, and help lower your bad cholesterol. Reducing your blood sugar is going to be a huge thing for it as well. So especially if you have diabetes, exercise makes you more sensitive to insulin. So the more sensitive that you are to insulin, the better response your body is going to have, and it's going to help shuttle that sugar from your blood into the muscles. So when we're working out, and especially when we're doing strength training, we're working out and we're using the glycogen, so the stored sugar. So all the carbs that you eat always get broken down to the simplest form into sugar, and they get stored in your muscles as glycogen. And when you work out at the right intensity with your strength training, that's what your body is going to be using for fuel, especially also with your higher intensity cardio. So then what your body has to do once we get done with a strength training or with a cardio effort, your body now will take that blood sugar and put it into the muscles, and that's going to help lower your blood sugar. So if we're not working out, and we're constantly just eating our diet, that's how a lot of times we can get that raise in blood sugar, because there's nowhere for it to go. Your muscle glycogen is full. You're not depleting it by doing any strength training, by doing any cardio. So your blood sugar may stay a little bit higher. So that's a really good reason to do your cardio and your strength training. Walking after meals is also really beneficial. So when you start walking after meals especially, so not immediately going and doing an intense exercise, just walking after your meals is also really good to help lower your blood sugar because again, so say we just eat a meal, when you start moving, it's going to also like start pumping blood to your legs, those big muscles in your legs, and it's going to take any, that extra blood sugar that's in there and start shuttling it to your legs. And it's also going to help aid in your digestion. So as we're walking around, we're going to help our body digest that food a little bit better, help to bring our blood sugar back to a normal level a little bit quicker. And then we also get the benefit of just getting more steps in and just moving. So if after each one of your meals, you took a 10-minute walk, that would be your 30 minutes of cardio right there. You're helping with your digestion to feel a little bit better. You're going to help with your blood sugar. And also, noticing your abdominal fat, so the fat around like our midsection and our visceral fat, the one that's going to be building around our organs, that's what's going to be something that we want to focus on to try to decrease, and that's going to be the most harmful kind of body fat. So again, all of these things that we're talking about, your cardio, your strength training, and keeping your body moving are going to help to decrease all those levels. The other one was smoking, and so I think it's pretty straightforward. Stop smoking. It's not good for you at all. So getting active with your cardio and strength training, like we said, going over all that, making sure you're doing your progressive overload. When you're losing your weight, or number 7, like losing weight, just losing weight alone, regardless of everything else, is going to give you a benefit. So there's obviously better or worse ways to go about it, whether it's eating through your diet or doing exercise. But just the fact of if we are overweight, just lowering our body fat in isolation and lowering your weight is going to give you those health benefits. So when you're doing or when you're thinking of that plan to get yourself moving, like Dr. Lisa mentioned as well, drinking more water, that's something that's kind of a big, I guess I don't want to say problem, but you guys need to drink more water. So I know a lot of us struggle with it too, and I'll tell you firsthand, if I don't have this with me all day long, and this is my 4th one today, it's not my first one, I will not drink enough water. If I don't have something with me, I am not going to drink enough water. And so find something that works for you. It may be I'm going to fill up my water bottle at the beginning of the day, and whether you're starting it, whether you don't do that at all, fill it up once and just be like, all right, I'm going to drink this before the day's up. It doesn't have to be this big. You could start where you can start, but drinking water is going to help give you more energy. Instead of just drinking more and more and more coffee, we could drink water, and your body is made up mostly of water. Your muscles are made up mostly of water. And then going back to your cognitive function as well. So make sure it's going to help keep you a little bit fuller. Make sure we're really hydrating the best that we can. And then just overall, just standing more and walking more as we can just to keep ourselves fit. So with with the sheet that you guys have that has the like the action plan on it, think about all the things that I just said. So it has the different days of the week, and it's going to have what you plan to do that day and how long you plan to do it and your motivation to do it. Be honest with yourself and start with something that you're actually going to do and meet yourself where you're at. If we're at nothing, don't go to 7 days a week, going to the pool, walking, run, do all the workouts. Don't go to that because, again, we're setting ourselves up for failure. Like, what do you know you're going to do? Like, all right, I'm going to try one class, and I'm going to go do the new step one day for 20 minutes. If that's more than what you're doing now, then that's a great place to start. Just show up to the gym. Don't even have a plan. Just walk into the fitness center. If you don't wander down there, just walk in, get comfortable being down there. I know a lot of us don't even come down that much because we may be a little bit intimidated. just show up to the gym. You'll see lots of friendly faces in the gym. I'll most likely be there. Leslie will be there. Emily will be there. Lots of other residents will be there. So make it a normal part of your day. And then once you break that barrier of you may just walk in, just come say hello. That might break the barrier of like, oh, like, okay, wasn't that bad. There's some nice people in there. Went and said hello to the gym. So just try to make it something that's you're easily able to build upon it. And again, feel free, as you guys, everybody needs, to reach out. If you just want to have a consultation, meaning just talk, that I'm all for just meeting with you guys and just talking. You know that we offer our personal training. If you're interested in that, you can sign up down on the board in Oak South, or give us a call and let us know. You can come try the classes out, but I know that you may just need to talk to somebody and just be like, hey, like, what should I do? Where should I start? This is where I'm at. I'm not really sure. Then we can do that as well. So don't think that whatever level you're at or whatever you're doing now, that, no, it's probably going to be too much, or I don't want to bother them. Make sure you're not, this is what we're here for, and this is what we want to do. So feel free as much as you need to reach out and use all the resources that you can here as much as possible. And that's pretty much all I have for everybody. So thank you very much. You're welcome.
Is anybody in this room less motivated than when you came in? Thank you. Peggy, I'm hoping that you might be able to come up and share some thoughts on nutrition and health, heart health.
Where do I push the slide? Here. Oh, the right. Good afternoon. I think first, I have 3 handouts over there. First slides, actually, I just put those 8 major steps from the Mayo Clinic recommended meal plan for heart health. So you can download from there, or if you don't have a computer, maybe we can download it and for you for those detailed informations, recommendations, lots of information over there. And the second slide. This is a kind of a very well-known and popular DASH diet. DASH is the acronym that stands for Dietary Approaches to Stop Hypertension, so to lower your blood pressure. And I put some kind of benefit by the side. Okay, sorry. Now you can hear. So, this is started by NIH, and I think this is all self-explanatory. So you can look at that. The next one I found downloaded from internet, and I think this chart gives more clear examples and those tips. Although in small prints, but I think use a magnifier, you can get more information to follow, what's the suggestion about the serving size, okay, things like that. So all of this, I'm not going to spend some time on those one. Today, I think I would like to just pick 3 different kinds of the food and talk about some considerations. We believe, food is good for us. We are what we eat. But it's not necessarily you put good things in your mouth, that's definitely good for you. So I think I just briefly pointed out several things. The first group is dark leaf green vegetables. I think our kitchen serves us almost every day, okay? All different kinds, like spinach. Today we will have spinach, kale, chard, mustard green, collard green, a whole lot of, almost every day we receive some of those. Those collard green, dark greens, they packed with good stuff. They are a nutrition powerhouse. Vitamins, minerals, fibers, antioxidants, you name that. So all of this, they help to reduce the risk of many chronic disease. We don't have to go over everything today, just to focus on anything related to our heart health. I wanted to point out one that is I highlighted in yellow color, okay, the nitrates, because this group of vegetables, they rich in nitrates. I think you all heard about the nitrates, right? Actually, this is the active ingredients help your health, because this regulates, relax your blood vessel, maintain a good blood vessel function, therefore can reduce your blood pressure and protect your heart. However, I think what you have heard lots of negative things about the nitrate, because people would recommend you don't eat like something like a ham, cured meat, corn, beef too much. Okay, a little bit fine, but not too much, because those nitrate actually will, under the high heat processing, cooking, they will generate some carcinogens, may cause cancer. Okay, so here I just want to clarify this myth. This is the second point, because this is all based on the research. We eat those food rich in natural nitrates, just like a dark green, okay? Actually, that can help you reduce the risk of a number of chronic health conditions. However, if you choose to eat those added nitrate, that means artificially add to this meat, okay, that daily lunch meat, things like that, they may cause health risk, including cancer. So try, just minimize to eat those added those food with added nitrates, but don't worry about the dark green vegetables. The next one, another thing I would like to point it out, dark greens, they also rich in vitamin K. Vitamin K is very important because this is important for proper blood clotting and makes the protein necessary for bone health. So, this is body needs vitamin K. And the dark green, the vegetable, this group of vegetables, they are also rich in vitamin K, so which is good. However, if you are a patient that doctor prescribed you some blood thinning medications, then it would offset this efficacy of the drug. Therefore, when you eat, it doesn't mean you cannot eat. Stay away from there. Number one, you don't eat this every day in excess amount. Like me, I like spinach, but I just needed to control the portion. And even more important is every day you eat not every day, every time, just eat a consistent amount. Okay, so keep the vitamin K in your body consistent, so doctor can monitor, your drug dose more effectively. So this is something I think will call your attention, not for everybody, but for people who take those medication. The next one, we will talk about the fish consumption. I know everybody loves fish. You think this is so nutritious. Yes, it contains, it has a high quality of protein. And don't mention lots of vitamins, minerals, and all this good stuff. Several years ago, I wrote a book chapter, many pages, just to discuss in detail every nutritional benefit and health benefit about eating fish and other seafood. Well, American Dietetics Association recommend us to eat two times, okay, fish each week. This is for a better health, protect our heart. In fact, according to those research, even if you eat once, okay, about 2 to 3 ounces per meal, per serving, that may reduce the heart attack mortality about 50%. Comparing with those people, they hate fish, they never eat fish. So, I do recommend everybody at least, eat twice of those fish. I think, the rest of those, of course, they can decrease the triglyceride, total cholesterol, the bad cholesterol, LDL, but does not reduce HDL. On the contrary, actually, it promotes, the production of HDL. So, what kind of a fish we would like to eat? Living here, we don't have much choice. What they serve, we eat, but we still can make some decision. Fatty fish or oily fish, and the lean fish. I think what I listed among those fatty fish, I think very often, maybe at least once a week, we serve those salmon. That's fatty fish, a good one. About the lean fish, we see this very often: catfish, flounder, haddock, blah, 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 blah. And most of the time, they also fry lean fish. They don't fry those fat fish, okay? But they wanted to make those white lean fish more palatable, so fried fish, I love it. However, I want to point it out those the red statement. There was no association between the total fish consumption and the lean fish consumption with the reduced coronary heart disease risks and mortality. Okay, even you eat more. Well, I'm not talking about other advantage or benefits. I'm focused on just the heart disease. All the heart health benefit come from the fatty fish. And the second one, well, try not to eat any fried fish, including fried fish sandwiches, okay? They taste good, but they were not associated with any of those heart health benefits. And rather actually, give you some kind of a risk. Why? Because you increase the consumption of the total fat, absorbed from the frying oil. And most of those frying oils, actually, they are partial hydrogenized the oil, not very healthy, and they repeated the fry and the fry. They generate some toxic material as well as more or less trans fat. Trans fat, acts just like a saturated fat. It's harmful to your heart. So this is about the fish. And next, the last, I talk about the garlic, because I saw all these menu recipes Greta just provide. 4 of the 5, they all add several cloves of the garlic. And I believe everybody believes garlic is good for our heart, right? Not only good for our heart, actually, some people, they just consider garlic is a cure all, good for so many things. Well, let's just look at the garlic. This is the major ingredients of the Mediterranean diet. And also, if you use garlic as the spice, you can decrease the amount of salt to use, okay, because it improves the flavor. Garlic is high in antioxidant and also have many other good effects, antimicrobial, antiviral, so it's good for your, cold health, even COVID-19. Both fresh garlic and if you buy those garlic supplement that's extract, actually they both can show some potential cardiovascular benefit. But too much garlic may increase the risk of bleeding, although different mechanism, but just the same like the dark green vegetables. If you are taking those blood thinning medication, try not to eat too much garlic. And also, if you have a scheduled surgery, you better stop taking garlic 7 days before the surgery. Otherwise, it may have bleeding problem. Well, the last slide, I just wanted to explain a little bit how we eat garlic. Well, the title, allicin, okay. I use a different color so you won't kind of confused with a different compound, okay. First, I mentioned this allicin. Allicin, this is a natural compound existing in raw garlic in the whole. But once you chew or chop or mince the garlic, then the tissue start to release an enzyme. This enzyme called allinase. Okay, that's the allinase. I use the pink color. Okay, so what's good for that? Once this enzyme released from the tissue, then can quickly convert this allicin to the active compound allicin. Okay, the yellow color. Well, allicin itself is a sulfur-containing protein, and the enzyme also naturally existing protein. But all the enzymes in our body, they are heat sensitive. If temperature becomes higher, they inactivate this enzyme activity. Therefore, if we like to get the highest amount of allicin, okay, we better just consume the garlic raw, okay. I saw somebody shake the hand because that's pungent, sometimes offensive, taste to other people. Even maybe, you can detect the body odor from there. The allicin, actually, this is the good thing, okay, responsible for the heart protective effect. But, once you cook that, what happened? Immediately the enzyme being destroyed. Once the enzyme being destroyed, then the allicin will not be produced or produced in adequate amount. Therefore, that's why on the market there are so many garlic powder, garlic extract, because this is they try to avoid this kind of loss of the active compound. But most of the time, I think we cook our meal and our kitchen also use lots of garlic. Most of the time, it's just for flavor, okay? And garlic is kind of a vegetable, root vegetable, but although we use this as a spice, okay, for flavoring. But there is some kind of a trick. If you chop, your raw garlic, okay, mince this, let this sit without the heat, okay? Let this sit for about 10 minutes or so. So within this 10 minutes, lots of allicin has been produced already, okay? Then when you just cook food, the best is you add this at the later stage. So less heat destroy less active compound. They did some kind of a experiment, microwave heating, only 30 minutes, it already destroyed 90% of the allicin. If 60, not a minute, 60 seconds and 30 seconds, then destroy everything. Okay, so think about that. Don't believe garlic is good for me, so I just eat a lot, even if I don't like it. You need to consider, why you eat, when you eat, how much you eat, and for what purpose you eat. Actually, to some people, it's not very easy to digest because it just produces lots of gas, and it cannot be absorbed in your intestine. So, every food has different aspects, and I think it's very important to think about your diet as a whole rather than just this and that ingredients. And anything in excess can be, unhealthy and harmful. Okay, this is today I just share with you. Thank you very much. If you
Thank you so much. Whoops. We have gone a little over an hour, and I would like to thank all of you for being here. I believe most of our speakers will be available afterwards. You can come up and talk to them personally and ask some questions, but I think we should allow you to disperse at this time, unless